50 years from now, this is going to be regarded as maybe the worst trade in the history of this league.
Wait, how is this not available to everybody else? How did he end up on the Lakers?
The conditioning concerns that have been persistent throughout Luka's career have gotten worse.
We think about Los Angeles being Showtime. It's got Magic Johnson. Now we've got the 2.0 version with Luka Magic.
I had a current NBA All-Star text me and say, do you know how much the Mavericks must hate Luka?
So much reaction from everywhere, including from maybe the Mavs' most famous fan. His name is Patrick Mahomes. And as he prepares for the Super Bowl, at 12:27 a.m. Sunday, he tweeted, wait, what? Then 6 minutes later, he tweeted, I'm sick right now. And then he tweeted, after having the night to sleep on it, Kyrie and AD are going to be nice, though. So he's going through all the stages, as is everyone. Meanwhile, their general manager, Nico Harrison, had this to say about what the Mavericks should be now.
He fits right along with our time frame to win now and win in the future. And the future to me is 3-4 years from now. The future 10 years from now, I don't know. I don't think they probably bury me and Jay by then. Or we bury ourselves.
Yes. Okay, so that is Nico Harrison, the general manager, who makes the kind of trade where you put everything on the table and wait for it to be judged. Michael Wilbon continues with us, and there he is. The man himself, the one and only Stephen A. Smith. I so appreciate you doing this, Stephen A., a half hour before you guys start your coverage, which, of course, will be all morning long on First Take. First blush, we've had so many opinions in here this morning. The Lakers trading Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic. Your reaction, Stephen A.?
Well, first things first, always beautiful to be on with the Godfather, my big brother, Mike Wilbon. Let's get that out the way, big boy. Secondly, and most importantly, I was absolutely shocked, Greeny. I was stunned because obviously Luka's a generational talent, one of the top 5 players in the NBA, 25 years of age, averaging 28 a game, fresh off of leading the league in scoring, averaging nearly 34 a game last year, has taken the team to 2 Western Conference Finals, 2 NBA Finals as well. You've seen what he has been capable of doing, and to see a guy of this magnitude, 6 years younger than Anthony Davis, coming to the Los Angeles Lakers, it's clearly a big-time move for the Lakers from the standpoint of finding that next generational talent to represent the purple and gold. We understand why they did it. He's younger, obviously. He's box office. The Lakers, unlike most teams in the NBA, where they're completely dependent on the Lakers franchise generating revenue for them, as opposed to these owners that have their businesses and the NBA is like a side business for them. You see why the Lakers would do this, obviously. So in the case of the Dallas Mavericks, what I walked away thinking was, I heard all the stories. I've spoken to numerous sources. Obviously, we hear about the conditioning issues, the fact that Luka was scheduled to come back February 8th, but it wasn't going to be up to them at all. It was at the mercy of Luka Doncic because he had his own team and they would make their own decisions and stuff like that. Regardless of the headaches that he may have caused, the issues as it pertains to his conditioning, I found myself saying there is more to this story. You do not give up somebody this great, this young, this generational, this box office, just because of conditioning issues and it being a headache when he produces those kind of results. And before anybody would question that, coming from me, I will remind everybody, I covered Allen Iverson for the first decade of his career. Anybody that's ever been a beat writer knows there's the beat, which is the team, and then there's a separate beat when you got somebody like Allen Iverson covering. You understand? Allen Iverson, as much as I love him, he knows how many of my vacations he has ruined. He and I had a running joke. He always got in the stuff when I was on vacation. It was never when I was working. It was always when I was on vacation. He's ruined about 5 vacations of mine in my career. This is what he did, okay? You know, when something like this happens, there's more to the story. Perhaps we'll find out down the line, but it is what it is, and we see what we see.
All right, so there's the big picture of this. I want to get one more take from you on this, Stephen A., and then we'll go on the floor. But the LeBron James of it all, and I want to make it clear for those who have not seen it over the weekend. Our Dave McMenamin, who is as tied into the Lakers as you can be, reporting that LeBron James intends to remain on this team past the trade deadline, which is Thursday, and that's fine. The reality is, as we've all learned, from now until Thursday is an eternity in the NBA. So if you're LeBron James, Stephen A., and this team just made a move that is meant for their next decade. And everyone I've had on this morning suggests they don't have any real chance to win this year because of it, and that they're not even sure LeBron and Luka are a good fit on the floor together. If you're LeBron, how are you looking at these next few days and the whatever remains of your career?
I go to Rich Paul and I tell him I will waive my no-trade clause for one of two teams. It will either be to join Steph Curry in Golden State or to go to New York with the Knicks. One of the two. Now, the Knicks are going to obviously be more difficult because they traded away 5 first-round picks to get Mikal Bridges. And I love Bridges, but damn, 5 first-round picks. But, hey, I'm not going to belabor that. They did what they did. But obviously they had an abundance of assets, and clearly the Lakers are in need of them because they've only got 1 pick left, which is like 2031 for crying out loud. And so I look at it from that standpoint. If I'm LeBron James, I either use that as an option or I go to Golden State and I join Steph Curry. And I go out with the greatest shooter God has ever created. You have to remember, in Los Angeles, both LeBron James and Luka Doncic essentially are ball hogs. They need the basketball. They're not secondary options. LeBron has shown the ability to adjust when he had Kyrie. Obviously, when he had D-Wade had to force him to really take the mantle and really take the bull by the horn and be aggressive with all of that stuff. But we've seen this from LeBron James before. Could he do it? Sure. But Luka really holds the ball. Neither of them really move a lot without the basketball. And that's why Charles Barkley, Will Bond, Wendy, and everybody else is absolutely right when you talk about the difficulty potentially of them playing together in Los Angeles. That would not be the case with Steph Curry. Steph Curry moves without the ball. He's the greatest shooter God ever created. You got to keep your head on a swivel constantly. You got to get migraine medicine and all of this other stuff. You got to go to get oxygen after the games because you got to chase Steph Curry around, okay? Because that's how he moves without the ball. You have an exceptional passer who is a basketball savant with the IQ of a LeBron James, and you are able to feed that dude the ball. And Draymond Green is your teammate as well, and you know how fiery he's going to be. Playing with LeBron, playing with Steph Curry, oh, my Lord, that would be absolutely something special. And if I'm LeBron James, I sit up there and I waive my no-trade clause to try to get to Golden State. That would be my number one option personally. But who knows? Everybody keeps saying that he wants to stay in L.A. He's settled. And my response is if he's settled with being in L.A., that's because of a lifestyle decision. It ain't because of a basketball decision because the Lakers ain't winning no championship as presently constructed. I can tell you that.
He's 40 years old, and of course, as everyone knows, his son also is on the team. Okay, so Michael, let's then go to the other side. You've talked about these young, upcoming teams in the West, Wembanyama in San Antonio, and we see how great Oklahoma City already is, and Houston is good, and they are young. Are the Mavericks right now, with Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and the group that they have around them, in your view, where would you place them in terms of their chances of coming out of the West and being in the finals this NBA season?
Well, Greedy, if you tell me that Derek Lively, who I got the chance to chat with a little bit a few days ago, who really sees himself being ready for the playoffs, he's out for the rest of the regular season, almost certainly. 7-footer who Nico Harrison, when they drafted and got him as part of that team with Gafford, people didn't necessarily think that the Mavericks were going to have that kind of strength as a team with inside play, and of course they did. We saw it right through the finals. If you tell me those guys are going to be healthy, Anthony Davis is going to be out there, and we're talking about a 7-game series, Dallas is on par. They're ahead of, obviously, San Antonio and ahead of even Houston. Houston hasn't had its heart broken. You guys know my feeling about the playoffs. You, as a young team, you have to have yourself, your heart, your wishes and dreams crushed at least once. Oklahoma City's been there once. Dallas can deliver that blow. I mean, we saw, Minnesota had to be crushed last year. Now they really haven't recovered, made a change to their roster, a big change. So I would put Dallas right up there. I would say that Dallas would be a team, if healthy, that they could play. They could be in a Western Conference final. I haven't mentioned Memphis yet. And by the way, Greeny, it's a whole different topic talking about the most important players in the league, Luka being one of them. And then also you got two guys in Memphis and New Orleans who aren't even there. They're not available. They are the 1 and 2 picks in a draft. They should be at the top of the league, and they're not for various reasons. And now Luka, too, is missing, played 22 games this year, but that's for another discussion. I'm going to put Dallas still for this year. I'm going to put Dallas right up there with a real chance of playing in the conference final against Oklahoma City, depending on how those seeds fall.
Stephen A.
I got Dallas as the #1 seed in the Western Conference right now. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Oklahoma City has looked fantastic. And then we saw Chet Holmgren go down and then ultimately Hartenstein go down, right? If you're looking at Oklahoma City, as great as they have been, what has been their Achilles heel? Recently, the Dallas Mavericks had lost 5 of 7 games. The 2 games they won was against Oklahoma City. Who did they bounce out in the playoffs last year? Oklahoma City. So the Dallas Mavericks seem to be an Achilles heel for OKC. OKC is great and as talented as they are, and adding Hartenstein. Well, let me ask anybody out there with just a scintilla of a basketball brain. If you had the opportunity to get Isaiah Hartenstein or Anthony Davis, who you picking? Well, the Dallas Mavericks got Anthony Davis. You understand? And you still kept Gafford. And you still have Lively. And, oh, by the way, one of the other things that we haven't talked about enough, because you know I'm going to talk about it on First Take, is Mr. Kyrie Irving, because suddenly the ball is in his hands. Now, we have to understand, this ain't the Kyrie Irving with a bunch of distractions. This ain't the Kyrie Irving that had a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on. This is the Kyrie Irving that's been incredibly comfortable in Dallas. He goes back years with Nico Harrison. He's got a point guard, a Hall of Fame point guard in Jason Kidd, coaching him. Why do you think the Dallas Mavericks were comfortable enough to make this decision? Why are you thinking this? They're not just thinking themselves as championship contenders and the window is now because of Anthony Davis. They're thinking about the fact that they got a showstopper in Kyrie Irving, who, by the way, has balled out in the absence of Luka, who's missed about 27 games this year. This is Kyrie Irving we're talking about here. This is an NBA champion that we're talking about here. This is a brother that's box office in and of himself when he's on his game and there are no distractions. This brother is nothing short of sensational. And now the keys have been handed to him because the offense is going to go through him and Anthony Davis. This is what's going on in Dallas. And when you look at what they've done against OKC, OKC's got its work cut out for it because Dallas has been at Achilles' heel.
Kyrie is 32. He'll be 33 when the playoffs begin. Right now, the Mavericks are in 9th place in the Western Conference, 2 games over 500, but they've been playing to that point without Luka pretty much, at least half the season. So we would assume they're going to get much, much better now. Stephen A., I got to let you go.
How's it going, everybody? Villa Sports Network here. Just want to thank you guys for your support on the channel. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. I also want to kind of remind you to don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on the video if you like as well. But regardless of the fact, thank you again for your support, and hope to see you on the next video.